Page 84. Okay, so first video for Silver Ore Project. What were you doing when Pearl Harbor was bombed? Or how did you feel when it happened?
I was visiting an uncle about 30 miles from my home. And when we got in the car to go back to my home, they were announcing on the radio about the Japanese attacking Pearl Harbor. I was 10 years old at the time.
Okay. What was the worst part of the bombing to you? What was the worst part of the bombing to you personally?
Personally, I just seeing pictures of it later on was upsetting to watch it, and but at that age, I really didn't realize, how bad the situation was or what the situation really was. To tell you the truth, at that age, I didn't know.
So you said that you were how old?
10 years old.
So you didn't serve during Pearl Harbor, so how was it like being at home while others served?
Well, at my age, it was pretty much the same thing. There was a lot of things we were unable to buy or have during World War II. So many things was rationed. You really had to have a coupon for most everything that you bought. And they would have drives for scrap metal, wood, papers, and which my buddies and I would scrounge up a lot of aluminum pots, pans, rubber tires, and we could take them to the theater in town, and they would let us in free for so many pounds of rubber, or so much copper, or aluminum, and we did things like that as kids.
Okay, so if just being here wasn't so you said that you had to gather up things, but what items were rationed?
Was
Like what were rationed?
what was rationing? Sugar was rationing. Of course, I didn't smoke, but you couldn't buy cigarettes. They were very hard to come by. You couldn't go to a grocery store and buy a bar of candy. The grocery stores, the people that I knew who run grocery stores, if they happened to get a box of candy in, they kept it under the counter for their children. We were unable to buy a bar.
So earlier you mentioned that that there were basically no men in town and that women rode bicycles. Why did they ride bicycles?
Well, back then, thinking about it, women didn't drive at that time in 1940, 41. Undoubtedly, there were some women driving, but in my community and all, I just don't know of anyone in my family, females, that were driving at that time. And mostly the reason the men put the cars up on the blocks was to keep the tires from rotting or going flat at the time. And the women, a lot of them bought bicycles, and they never would tell me what they wanted when they would call me to come to their house and would send me to the store. They always gave me notes to give to the pharmacy or druggist or whoever, and they would fill the order, and I would ride their bicycle back home, which they would pay me a quarter or 50 cents. Back in those days, if you bought a chicken for dinner, it was live. You had to carry it home. They would tie their legs together. A lady that lived behind me, she just could not cut the chicken's head off, and she would pay me on Friday night to come down and cut that chicken's head off. I would get a quarter for it.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
So you did errands for the women while
Yeah.
the men were away. Did you have any siblings that served in the war or any family at all?
I had uncles that served in World War II, but I don't know exactly where they went or what they did. I wasn't that close to these two uncles that were in service. As far as distance, living, I didn't know.
Interesting. Well, don't think so. Thank you.
You're welcome.